All right, it's our free version of the Fight Game podcast here on the Fight Game Media Network. John The Rock and I are here. We're going to talk about the fallout of the Royal Rumble. We'll give our report card grades as well. But John, overall, what'd you think about hanging out with the fellas at Big Dave's house yesterday?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, a lot of laughs, and we watched a good show. A little longer than we expected,
I know
but
it's
all
almost like
good.
every show we watch at Dave's, like there is somebody going, okay, how long do we think the show's going to be? And
Yeah,
then
yeah,
we all kind of guess. And then many times it turns out to be even longer than we think. Sometimes we'll get a little bit shorter of a show, but yeah,
yeah.
we thought we were going to be done by 3.5 hours. And they're like, nope, we're going to give you more commercials and stuff to pad it to get to 4.5 hours or whatever it was. But it was
Yeah.
still fun. It was long, but it felt shorter than 4.5 hours, I thought.
Yeah. No, I wasn't ever like watching the clock, like, oh my god, man, when's this thing gonna end? It just they had a lot of a lot of advertisements in between matches. Good on them because they're getting paid, but like after it in a way it does help break up, because we're all concentrating on a match or commenting on a match.
Yeah.
And afterwards we can kind of just talk about stuff and the match, and then also there's things going on, so
Yeah, if you're watching it with a bunch of people, I think it probably is not that bad as long as the show's good. But if you're like watching it by yourself, it's probably a little rough to go like, okay, what am I gonna do now? Well, I guess I'm gonna go on Twitter or I'm gonna go, you can only go and make so many sandwiches. So
when I watch it at home, if and I have like long breaks, I kind of get stuff done between, like, so I could have got the dishes done. I probably could have vacuumed the whole house, by the time one of those damn breaks happened. So
yeah,
yeah.
for sure. All right, so I guess the question coming out of this show, there's the two questions because you have two winners of the Royal Rumble.
Hmm.
And I saw a lot of this today. I didn't actually go to social media and see what people thought, but after the Royal Rumble, there's a lot of discourse on who won the match.
Yeah.
Jey Uso on the men's side was very unpredictable. Charlotte on the women's side was very predictable. And the discourse by some of the fan base was negative towards both, which just tells me you can't make some people happy because
Yeah.
if the person who was supposed to win wins one and the person who was a little bit of a surprise wins the other and the same people are mad, then they're just never going to be happy. But I do think this is a valid question. So even before we get to our report card,
Hmm.
do you think Jey Uso was the right winner for the men's Royal Rumble?
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad choice. They have a this is what's going on in the men's side of the WWE right now. They have so many stories and so many different directions they can go. And Jey Uso winning the Royal Rumble. To me, it's not like, oh man, I can't believe they did something like that. That's out of the blue. It kind of makes sense. Like, he did just wrestle Gunther at Sunday's main event. He got beat. And the next night on Raw, he promised that he will beat Gunther for the world title, and this is part of his journey. So I think that's the match we're going to get at the Royal Rumble. I think Jey Uso is going to win the belt.
So there is a discussion happening right now on whether or not John Cena should have won this match because the theory is historically your Royal Rumble winner challenges for the top title and is the main event of one of those nights. And I think some folks believe that even though Jey Uso won this match and he's more than likely going to challenge Gunther, that match is still going to be less important than a handful of other matches. So the actual Royal Rumble winner might be overshadowed in a sense. What do you think about that argument?
I think maybe to like the hardcore internet wrestling community, they might think that, but I'll tell you what, man, like to that whatever night one or night two, whenever they put it on, probably most likely the main event of night one. I mean, when he wins the belt in that whole stadium of whatever 60, 70,000 people all doing the arm up and down and the yeet, I mean, it's going to be massive. So I don't think it's going to be overshadowed. I think it's going to be definitely a memorable moment. They're going to call back to for a very long time.
Yeah, and I think Gunther is the right opponent for him because he's going to have a good match. You cannot have a bad match with Gunther. There have been other Jey Uso singles matches that have been a little on the disappointing side. You had the one with Jimmy last year.
Yeah.
And, the one with Roman where, tons of run-ins and it was super long. And it was kind of overbooked and all that stuff. And people are kind of dinging him on that one as well. But I always go back to, I think of times in which they do go with somebody who is not really suspected. And I will always remember this. My buddy calls me. It's 1992, and he goes, "You'll never guess who just beat Ric Flair for the title." And I was like, Randy Savage. He's like, "Nope." I was like, and just going through guys, right? And I think I even said, "Oh, like Sting came," nope. And he goes, "Bret Hart." And I was like, "Bret Hart, huh?" And then I thought about it and I was like, Bret Hart's pretty cool. I didn't see it coming, but he is pretty cool, and I like him a lot. And thus you just kind of go, "Oh, that's interesting." And Bret Hart's first run was not fantastic. He got out-politicked by the greatest politicker of all time in Hulk Hogan. But then Hulk Hogan bails and he comes back and he becomes the Bret Hart that we know. And so there are times where, maybe the immediate person who you think is going to win doesn't win. Now, the difference today is WWE needed to make a guy at that time, and they chose it to be Bret Hart. Today, they don't have to make anybody. They have if you just watch that men's match, they have so many folks in that company who the crowd just loves and they see as a top star. Yeah. So that is not the problem. I think there's I'm fine with Jey winning. I was, I'm a Jey guy. We've been talking for 3 years and I've been just praising him as just like one of those cool guys who you're just like, man, I just want to hang out with that dude and have a beer with him or something. He's just like a cool dude. But what I'm wondering is, so if you're Triple H and you have your matches and you're putting together on your whiteboard or your Google Excel sheet or your whatever way that they do it, and you're saying, okay, we want Jey and Gunther and we want Cena and Cody, which is I think where we think they're going with the title matches. And over here we have Seth and Roman and Punk doing something. Maybe Drew is over here. So how do we get to this and how do we get to this? You could have had Cena win the match, which is why I predicted him to win the match, to say, okay, I'm going after Cody, and then you lock that match up. Because if CM Punk was to win that match and he didn't choose Cody, then you're like, oh, there's something fishy going on here. This is kind of weird. Jey Uso was the only one who was like, I'm going to beat Gunther. So that made a lot of sense. And I think if you're going that way, having Jey win the Rumble and Cena win the Elimination Chamber are the better ways to tell that story, because otherwise then Jay's got to win the Elimination Chamber and you're actually marketing Cena for that match as the last time he's going to be in Toronto or whatever, wherever that show is. So I like it from that standpoint. I do understand there is a fan base who looks at the lineage of the Royal Rumble and is like, that needs to be the main event of the show. And it's not going to be the biggest match of the show. Jey Uso and Gunther, we've already seen it on Saturday night's main event. And just from a star power perspective, Gunther's not Cody Rhodes. Gunther's not Roman Reigns. Gunther's not CM Punk. But he is the best wrestler to pair Jey Uso with if you're going to give Jey a shot to see how hot can this dude get? Like, let's give him some of his bona fides for doing such a great job, which is kind of the reverse of what Vince McMahon would have done. I think Vince McMahon would have probably tried to prove that this Jey Uso thing is a fluke and give him hurdles to just go, see, he's not as over as we think he is. Like this is kind of a fad. And Triple H is on the other end going like, shit, we have the opportunity to see how hot this guy can get.
Mhm.
Let's just see. Let's experiment. So it's a different mindset, 100%. But I kind of like the experiment.
Yeah, I think it's going to work out great. I think WrestleMania is going to be a great 2 nights of. I think they have a lot of big matches planned on that show because they have a lot of stars that are so over right now, and that men's Rumble proved that. So I mean, there's a few ways they can go with the Roman and Seth and Punk, and still have other title matches with Jimmy Jay. I want to say I don't know why I want to say Jimmy all that. Jey Uso and Gunther, and then also Cody and Cena. I think it just makes more sense for Cena to win the Elimination Chamber because he's heavily promoted on that show. Like he's like the main focus on that show. Just I always felt like he was winning Elimination Chamber. I actually had Jimmy winning the Rumble early on, but then I was kind of thinking Roman, and I was thinking more of the maybe setting up a rematch with Cody and Punk thing. Yeah, yeah,
and all that stuff.
but a lot of people. I mean, the world title, the world championship. I know it's not the WWE championship; it has a long lineage. But Triple H's done a great job of getting that belt over. Obviously the people holding it, but it takes the booking of it. Like, Seth Rollins had a really good run. I know Priest's run was a little bit of a disappointment, I think, in a lot of people's eyes, but I think he's more of a transition to get to Gunther. Though, it gave him some like, okay, he won the big one, so he has that on his resume. You always kind of slot him in the main events because of it. And Gunther's been a great champion and gotten that belt over as something important. So to me, it's not a small match or not, I think is it equal? Maybe a little less, but I still think the fans see that as a very important match going to WrestleMania. I'm talking about the true fans that not the indie fans. I'm talking about the online community. I'm talking about just everyone that just, that this show. Like we mentioned, as we were watching, this crowd was really in tune with everything and happy with everything, right? And they were, forgiving of stuff too that didn't go the way it went. So I think Penta probably would have got
they would have reacted differently about that 5 years ago or 6 years ago.
Yeah. So I think people going to WrestleMania one of their moments they want to experience is Jey Uso winning the title because I think they want to be part of that big mass arm waving. And WWE wants that too because that's a great scene to show, and that's a great footage, right? Like going to that 10 years from now and showing that, like, oh wow, man, what a happening that was.
Okay, let's go to the other side now. Charlotte Flair makes her comeback. There's going to be some talk about her look. She's getting a little bit older. She looks a little different. Like that's just what happens, as you get older. There's going to, actresses and actors, they get that. Women worse than guys for sure. I've always been a fan of hers. I like watching her wrestle. I think she comes off as a star. I also understand why people are a little tired of her or bored of her because she always comes back and she's always in the top spot, and maybe people are looking for fresh wrestlers to come in. So I get the blowback. I also am a Charlotte fan. Was she the right person to win this match?
I think so. I mean, I was trying to think of other women that match. I don't see anyone that was ready yet for that spot. I mean, Bianca's a top star, but she's kind of mixed up with the tag titles, right? And all that. So I think
we didn't get a Becky Lynch return.
We did not get a Becky Lynch return, but we could get that in the next few months, or maybe not. Maybe after WrestleMania, she might come back, right? I think it's the right call. I can't imagine anyone else. Io, I mean, she's been there already for that.
And again, you have to go into this when you're booking it with the idea of what is a great match for Tiffany Stratton? What is a great match for Rhea Ripley? I was trying to think if you were looking for someone to come out of the match against Rhea Ripley, you probably pick Charlotte. And if you were
Yeah.
thinking of Tiffany Stratton, you probably pick Charlotte or Bianca. Bianca for Rhea as well, but it looks like they're moving. I would imagine maybe we get that next year. We finally get that Bianca and Rhea match next year. But
Yeah.
Charlotte is kind of the best pick for both matches. I'm, there were some really strong women, and as you know, I really love the NXT women's division.
Yeah.
Like Roxanne Perez was friggin' amazing in that match, but she's also still tied up in NXT stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be a little premature for her to win that. But I thought she was awesome in that match.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, there wasn't. I mean, I'm glad it was Charlotte and not Nia. Not that not that I don't think Nia has been doing a pretty good job, but you want to see a baby face win that match to set up something, and
Mm-hmm.
Charlotte is coming back as a baby face. So yeah, I think she was the right person as well. If Becky was ready, I probably would have had them both in the ring. And then you kind of don't know, and it's like, who's going to win this match between these two?
Mm-hmm.
And that would have been fun, but she didn't come back. So yeah, I think Charlotte was probably the right one out of that mix if Bianca was not going to be the choice.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's the only choice of that group of 30 women. I'm glad they gave Roxanne that spot of being the Iron Woman and also being the final last one to be eliminated. That's they're really high on her. She's going to be.
Can you think about that for a second too? Because they trusted her so much to go all the way to the end, do that stuff on the apron, where that's. I don't know if she wasn't nervous.
Sure she was.
That's such a giant stage, but they trusted her to do that over a lot of the women who are on the active roster who have been in this match many times. It could have been Bayley, right? Like Bayley would have been the pro to be in that spot as well. But they chose Roxanne, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite moments of the night, just seeing that them put that trust in her and give her that spot, because she's going to be on the main roster sooner than later, and she's going to be a top star for a lot of years to come, because she's still only like in her early 20s, right? So she is a prodigy, truly is. And then I was really happy for her.
Just want to shout out folks in the chat. My guy Curryhead is in the chat. David Valentine is in the chat, and I don't know what this name is. I'm trying to figure out what this name is.
Ghetto.
You think it's Ghetto? Like
G?
the
Looks
Booker
like a ton of my eyes.
The Booker of New Japan you think is in the chat?
No, it's a Gato, not. So let's get to our little review. We don't do a review. What we like to do is called the report card.
All right, it's time to go to school, son. Come on, get your hands up, man. You need an interpreter? It's time to go to school.
So we only had 4 matches. Women's Royal Rumble. Then we had the 2 out of 3 Falls tag team title match. We had Cody and Kevin Owens killing each other. And then we had the men's Rumble. What is your overall letter grade for this show?
Oh, it's a solid A. I was extremely happy with the show, and I didn't see a bad match on the card, and I thought all 4 matches delivered what they promised. So.
I would probably give it an A-. The tag match, I think it would have been better on SmackDown. I think it would have been better appreciated on SmackDown. I think they could have told a better story on SmackDown. And it was clearly the match that the fans were like, okay, this is not one that excites us, so we'll give it nice, pleasant, applause.
The third fall, they got the people into it, though.
They did, and then they went to the finish that they did, which again I think would have come across better on TV than it would have on the pay-per-view.
Yeah, with
Because
Street
it's
Profits
a
interfering.
storyline, and then
Mhm.
you could have done stuff about the storyline on television. So yeah, I mean, not a miss in any way, but you know, if there was something that, you know, I thought it just work better on TV. And I liked both Rumble matches. I know there's some segment of saying, you know, the women's match didn't have like that great memorable spot, but I still enjoy it because for me, again, when you watch NXT, as much as I complain about NXT, I do love the young talent in the women's division. So I was just watching, okay, who's coming out next? What are they going to do? Now,
Mhm.
there was a moment where we were kind of wondering, it's like, okay, it's going to be Becky, it's going to be Jade, is it going to be even Jeremy was saying AJ Lee was his pick to kind of pop the roof off of the building. And then Nikki Bella was the 30th. And, you know,
Yeah.
the crowd was a polite. They gave her a nice response, but it wasn't something like if Becky were, Becky would have blown the roof off. Jade, I thought would have got a great response. But yeah, like totally fine. I was totally fine with the women's Rumble match.
Yeah.
I thought the men's Rumble match was really good. I've heard a pocket of folks who thought that it was too long, and it was like 80 minutes.
Yeah, it was a long match. I watched it again
And
today.
did you?
Actually. Yeah, it was better the second time around for sure.
Okay, well, what was Drew McIntyre mad about?
Looks like Logan Paul was still doing his thing. Not, that's what it looked like to me. He's probably mad at Logan Paul, I'm guessing.
So the word is LA Knight.
LA Knight for what?
So suppose I meant to watch this back. Brian did the live play-by-play, not live, but he did the play. He watched he was watching the part to see, and he gave the play-by-play, which is so they're doing the spot where Drew's about to get eliminated.
Yeah.
And I guess LA Knight jumps the gun on Logan, and he kind of takes the camera. Oh, I don't know if it's the camera or the audience or whatever away from Drew getting thrown out. So I think
Well, they showed Drew get thrown out, so I don't think they missed that. It could be LA Knight. I don't know why he was. I thought it got a little, cluttered there for a bit, but yeah, I think they could have. The elimination of Drew could have been a little bit better because Drew's focus has always been on Roman.
Yes.
So it would have been a really cool spot if he actually had Roman like nearly eliminated. And that's when Damian Priest throws him out. And that's when you can focus. Like now you can build that matchup or, the Drew Priest feud because, Drew was almost did what he promised the people. He's going to eliminate Roman Reigns or maybe Punk, because he also said Punk too in that promo. Maybe he had both of them. He has both of them nearly out, like he's going to toss both of them out and ruin both their nights. And then Priest throws them out and he can just be like incensed at Damian Priest, and that can kick that feud. I thought that was the only negative, I think, maybe, and also Braun Strowman coming back. I thought they should have let that, he should have been injured for a little bit while to come back for revenge. It's something they could have done, later this month or, early March leading into WrestleMania, or they could have done the match at the Elimination Chamber. They could have done that, there, but maybe they still will. But
hope that they do that match at Elimination Chamber because I think it minimizes Jacob's stuff by having his WrestleMania match be Braun Strowman.
Yeah, I think it'll be Elimination Chamber. I don't think it's going to be Braun Strowman. There's still plenty of time between now and WrestleMania, so that's definitely a match they're probably going to do on either television or Elimination Chamber. Yeah.
My buddy Draven, who is the 1992 Rumble expert, he can tell you the order of entry and the order of elimination off the top of his head. He reached out to me, so we're actually going to do an episode of Observe This this week, probably Tuesday night. I'll set it all up, more than likely Tuesday evening. And his one qualm about the Rumble was he thought Roman should have been the target by all the people who are mad at him, and
Mhm.
it could have been like, you remember Austin in '98,
Yeah.
where everyone's just coming at him and they just want to eliminate him, and he's just fighting off everybody. He thought that should have been Roman's spot, in that everyone's so mad at him. Why aren't they targeting him every single time that they see him?
Yeah, a lot of people
So
did go after him in that match. I saw a lot of people go towards him right away. So, but maybe that wasn't the focus story. I know
yeah,
the main story was for Drew, at least, because that was the big face off when he came out. So that was great.
yeah, he and I will talk about it on
Mhm.
Observe This, because we're covering January and February in 1984. So we're
Mhm.
going quite a ways back there, and we'll talk. But we're also going to talk about current stuff as well. So I'll go A minus. I'm with you. Like I said, the only thing was that tag match, which I thought, I think you could have had a different match on there. That may have been like that fan base may have been a little more starstruck in a different match, and it could have got over more.
I think too, like okay, it just followed the women's rumble, which was over an hour long too, right? I know there was a break with a lot of commercials and stuff, but still gets fans back. And plus, the 2 out of 3 falls. I think this day and age, 2 out of 3 falls don't really work. I think people kind of
It
get
is a
pissed.
little old school.
It
It's not
is. It
something we see
is.
a lot.
I mean, if it's like, especially the reason why they're having this one was it was just kind of like a stipulation added.
Yeah,
There's no real need for 2 out of 3 falls. I know they've been doing a mixture of matches between the teams, the last few weeks, but I think it would have been better if it was just a straight, one fall match.
I
But like,
agree.
because the fans obviously were like, okay, once the third fall, that's when they really got up. And I thought the match was good, so I'm not gonna knock them on the match, but the crowd there, they kind of knew the gist. Like, okay, it's 2 out of 3 falls, we'll wait for the third fall, and then they got into it.
Yeah, for sure. So the title match, Cody and KO, they killed each other. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
like I like the effort, but it's almost like when you're giving them praise for like literally like not hurting themselves, but there's a
Yeah, I know.
lot of stuff in that match where it was pretty brutal. And I I hate to praise the bumps that these guys are taking, because it makes me feel like, you know, I'm okay with like a lot of that stuff. It's their life, it's their job, and everything. So, I also have to respect that. Little more brutal than I necessarily wanted to see,
Yeah, yeah.
especially because, these dudes have a lot of bumps on the bump card, and Cody's going to WrestleMania, and I don't know if I would have risked all that, because that's the main show. And I know for KO, this is like his spot. It's like his moment to shine. He was in the title match. So I thought the match was really good, but at the same time, it's like, oh my gosh, why are you guys doing all of this stuff? You do not have to do it. The crowd is with you no matter what.
Hmm. I think KO took most of it. I think Cody had about one or two real dangerous bumps, but overall he was pretty safe. But KO, man, he was taking some. That's kind of his mentality too, like he's always kind of done those kind of crazy dangerous spots. And that the one that made me sick was the backdrop onto the ladder, which was on its side. And I don't know how you take that without protecting yourself. It's
I
just
mean, it was kind of perfect, because the worst thing would have been is if he hit his head or whatever. But I mean,
but even
the
then,
only
compressing
spot
spine.
that, yeah,
That's spine you don't want to mess with. Trust me, I know, man. I got spinal stenosis myself, and
yeah,
like it's I don't know. But it was violent, and I felt like these two guys hated each other. I thought minus the craziness that Kevin Owens did in the match, I thought he was actually brilliant as a heel in the match.
mm-hmm.
Um he didn't do a lot of like sometimes Kevin can get a hair up his butt and be kind of goofy. you know. But like you even kind of teased something like that. We had the mini ladder, the Hornswoggle ladder, I call it.
Yeah.
And he was gonna do a little frog splash off it, but he said, "No, screw you guys," because the crowd would have cheered, right, if he would have done something like that. But he's a heel, so I like that. And the finish was brutal, but he kind of needed a brutal finish. And with the Alabama Jam to the table that was set up on the ring apron to the announcer's table, and the way they gimmicked that ladder and made it fold, and it was a great visual. Of course, the blood on KO's face. You know, WWE does they did a really good job of doing blood and making it mean something. They don't overuse it, which is great. And this match kind of needed some blood, you know. So I thought the visual at the end where KO is because it definitely is the feud ender, right? And of him just out bleeding, and there's Cody standing over him with the belt, you know, holding up high. I thought that was a great end to their feud, which was a tremendous feud, probably the second best feud in 2024. If you really think about it, and the best feud of the year was obviously CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre, but a damn close second, in my opinion, is Kevin Owens versus Cody Rhodes. I thought it was a really, from how they built it up to this finale, I thought was great.
So what did you think about the Sami Zayn piece of this match? He's out there with KO. Cody's kind of celebrating above the two friends. I'm going to put friends in quotes because there's an angle there. We're not sure exactly where they're going with it. What did you think of the Sami piece?
I think it's good because it sets up a future match between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, most likely at WrestleMania, which is like their dream match to do, right? Is have a match at WrestleMania between each other. And it makes sense because Sami Zayn's out there as a concerned friend for both men. And that's why he's really there. He's not there to interfere or help Kevin Owens win the title. He's there because he's concerned for both. And especially Kevin at the end when he's there with Kevin the whole time. But Kevin is going to see it, I believe, that you weren't a good friend. You didn't help me. You didn't help me win. You didn't help me win this title. Help me, Cody. And that's what's going to lead to another breakup between these two guys, another feud, and I believe a match at WrestleMania. Yeah, I can guarantee that.
All right, let's give like a big a wider view to set up some of the stuff that we think that may happen at WrestleMania. All right, we call this the big picture. What is the big picture, do you think, for Rhea Ripley? Who is she going to face? Who could be? Because I mean, she's clearly all of last year was to position her as the top woman in the company. But I don't know exactly what the perfect match is for her. I thought it could be Charlotte. Now it seems like it's Charlotte and Tiffany, but Charlotte and Rhea was a really, really great match from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So they could go back to that, and I would actually love that personally. But if Charlotte does go to Tiffy, who can Rhea face for WrestleMania?
I mean, if Becky comes back, that's a match. But I was kind of thinking about, I think Bayley might win the Elimination Chamber. Bayley and Rhea. Because I was thinking about the women on Raw brand, right? And Bayley just transferred over. And so I was thinking maybe Bayley and Rhea is a pretty big match. Because
babyface match?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know. Bayley is kind of on a losing streak.
She is, but that could be the story of her. She finally wins a match. They're probably going to do qualifying matches to get into the Elimination Chamber. I actually like that idea always, every year. And I'm sure that, and maybe she finally wins, and then she gets in there and she, wins the Elimination Chamber. That's my thought so far. If Becky doesn't come back, Trish came back for the Rumble. I don't know what her plans are. It was just a one match deal, or she's going to make a little run at it. That'd be a big match for Rhea at WrestleMania. But yeah, right now I'm feeling Becky. Bayley. Excuse me.
Interesting. Okay, so we saw a triple threat tease with CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns. Not a fan of triple threat matches.
No.
I will say that. Where do you think they go? Do you think they go to a triple threat? Do you think that there's going to be some possibility where maybe someone else is added and you get 2 singles matches? Like, where do you think they're going with that one?
I feel like it's a triple threat. Because if it's just Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns, what do you do at CM Punk then, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to figure out who's out there. I mean, Drew's probably going to be a Damian Priest, it seems like.
What if they do the Elimination Chamber and Jacob Fatu takes out Roman? They could still do a lot of the Roman Seth Punk stuff because they've been doing that all through the lead up to the Rumble, right? There was like a lot of guys who were just mixed in with each other, just like top name. So you have you know, maybe this is like the baby steps to something bigger down the line with the 3 of them, and they're kind of starting that story now. I still would rather see Punk and Seth and Roman and Jacob rather than a 3-way.
Yeah, I'd rather see that too, but I don't know what match you can do. It's going to have to be some kind of probably added stipulation to that match, right? Seth and Punk, because they already had their singles match. Straight match.
No,
so
you're right, because that was the Netflix match. That was the very first Netflix match.
Yeah.
So it'd have to be. I guess you don't want to go back to Hell in the Cell because Punk and Drew just did Hell in the Cell. I don't know, dog collar match. Punk seems to like that stipulation. I just rewatched Piper and Valentine, by the way. Dog collar match from Starrcade '83.
You could also do, depending on what they're going to do with Solo Sikoa, they could do Jacob Fatu versus Solo Sikoa in that show. You know, I don't know what the plan of Solo is, but
yeah, and then I mean, well, I wonder how long until they pay off the promise or the favor for Punk, because that's also in there.
Yeah. Guys, so many ways they could go with WrestleMania, so it's kind of cool. It's kind of unpredictable, but there's just, instead of in the past where you kind of saw the direction and they're just filling out the card, but this time we're like, you know, it's cool to have everyone guessing, and I think it's like makes the product more exciting.
What else did they tease? I was trying to think of some of the other stuff that they teased for. You know, I mean, because they
coming up, but nothing.
I mean, so you mentioned Drew and
Logan Paul and AJ Styles, I think.
Logan Paul and AJ Styles was also teased.
Yeah.
That, I mean, that's fun for,
it's a fun match.
You know, kind of to see what they could do in that match. I think it would be good. Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre, there's kind of a little history there because you know, when Priest cashed in last year at WrestleMania, so they could tell that story. I was trying to think of what they could do with Penta. The Penta and Ray stuff was really fun, but they're both baby faces. Braun Breaker
Penta, was kind of exposed at the Royal Rumble this year. You know, he's not one for long matches, and him out there a long time was just not a good thing for him. And I thought they wasted opportunity even though they spent so much time, him and Ray, on the apron, and they should have done moves and spots in the ring, I think, instead of and then teased an elimination, but not where they, you know, where Penta eliminated himself. But after that, he was kind of just, you know, hugging the bottom rope, which I told everyone that's probably what's going to happen because, you know, so he's not known for his cardio. But yeah, I don't know. Penta could wrestle Braun Breaker. They kind of teased that on Raw, right? And he doesn't need to win that match. Braun should win. Who else for Braun? Penta's a good one. Unless they want to do Ray versus Penta, they could do that.
There was that Braun and Jacob Fatu moment that they've shown before, but I
Yeah, I
think
think
you save that one.
they could save that one down the line.
Yeah.
I thought Braun had an awesome Rumble. I think one of my favorite moments at Rumble was when he speared Roman.
Mm-hmm.
That was just like one of the coolest moments of the match. And then, of course, when he destroyed ISO Speed, I mean, that was fucking brutal. But as much as that's been replayed over and over, which is what they wanted, the one that he gave Roman was just like, man. And then, of course, Roman eliminated him soon after that. But it's like, what a tease for something big in the future. That was really cool.
What do you think about Jordan Grace? What would you do with her for WrestleMania season?
She did good. Again, she's a good wrestler. I like Jordan. She's a power girl. Like, that's her gimmick. It's power girl. Rhea too. That's one you could think about. They really can, heat her up and get her. If she's on I don't know where she's going. If she's going to main roster, she's going to NXT. But I think she's ready for the main roster. Obviously, I think at her age, and I don't know how old is she. Is she like in her?
Jordan Grace is in her 20s, I think. Still, yeah, she's 28. She'll be 29 next month.
Okay, all right, 29. So, yeah, I think you put her on the main roster, you put her on Raw, and that's a match you build up. I think like for that could be a match you build up. Jordan Grace and Rhea. That's a fresh new matchup. So.
And then also we saw the return of Alexa Bliss. She's been out for a while.
Mm-hmm.
New mom. I mean, the fact that, and this is not just wrestling, this is all women's sports. Like when you see somebody have a baby and then come back and still play at the high level or perform, like that is like the most amazing thing to me.
What's that woman? Oh God, it's a rom-com, and there was like two women pregnant at the same time, and one's having like a hardest time. It's not Friends, but it was like it was a movie. I remember it's like this lady was having a hard time with the baby. The other lady's like just like the perfect woman, like she's just like, and she goes, "It's out," She was like, I'm guessing that's what happened. Like Alexa Bliss, like, just like how did that? Yeah, she just let it. Man, God bless her. She looked great. She was super over, man. That crowd was going nuts for her.
They were fired up for her. And I mean, I don't know if she does go to the Wyatt 6. I think if she does, that limits her a little bit, but that's also where she's going to sell the merch and sell the doll and all that stuff as well. Yeah. And probably the more comfortable character for her at this time. But I don't know.
There might be like an undercard match with her, and if she's with the Wyatt 6 versus Cross's group, they could do something like that, right? With Scarlett.
And the thing, we were talking about this yesterday, they didn't wheel out the champions to kind of show them off while those matches were going on. So, we didn't see Tiffy. I would have shown her. I would have done an interview with her. Same with Rhea. Like Rhea's like one of their biggest stars, was not on that show. Cody wrestled obviously, but no Gunther as well. Like I would have had that dude out there, like maybe just watching, studying.
Or how about one less commercial break or two, and have a section of that stadium where by the stage where it's a podium, the Okerlund position as they call it on Saturday night's main event, and have each champion come out and cut a little promo about who they about the winner or who's going to win, etc. And
100%. That would have been a lot better than a lot of the downtime that we did have. Like I don't need to see any more WWE merch commercials, right? Like I know if I'm going to buy a WWE shirt, I know where to go. You don't have to tell me. I'm on the show watching it. You don't have to tell me.
It would only be 3 promos because Cody's in a match, so it would just been Gunther and Tiffany Stratton and Rhea. That would have been fun.
Yeah. So, I was thinking of, I was like, you know what? We'll do the Rumble. We'll give a report card grade. We'll do the big picture stuff to see, what some of the WrestleMania matches are. And then, you know what? I'm going to watch Collision I wasn't gonna tell you to watch
You
Collision. I was
did?
gonna watch. I was going to watch Collision.
I was watching New Japan stuff, old New Japan stuff today for some reason. I was just 98 NWO Japan. That's what I was watching.
Because you know what I wanted to do? I wanted to check in with
Yeah.
Collision.
And on the cool check-in.
And what did you see?
Guess what happened? Have you seen Dune?
Yeah, great movie.
Okay, that's what recorded for me.
Oh, you dude?
So it's AEW Collision.
Uh-huh.
Jericho is on the little graphic as I click on the graphic, and I'm clicking through it, and I see little Timothy. What is his name? Chalamet.
Yeah, Chalamet.
And I was like, wait a second, like it's not, Okada and Edge and all these guys. What's going on? And so I'm just clicking through. I'm like, okay, how long does this thing go? And this has happened to me before. Previously, it was the Avengers. I'm like, I don't need to see Captain America. Like, I'm trying to watch wrestling. So I think what happened, I record the East Coast version of AEW Collision.
You didn't go to Max?
And no, because
I'm surprised.
the fast forward button on Max is not as slick as on my Hulu. So
there
it's like there's like I pressed the 10-second skip, and then I got to count like one Mississippi before the thing even jumps. So it's more annoying for me than anything else. So it wasn't on, and I was so frustrated. I was like, obviously going heads up against the Royal Rumble, they're gonna do their worst number or whatever. Like,
yeah,
obviously it's not. It's a Royal Rumble. Everyone's watching Royal Rumble. Even people who aren't watching wrestling week in and week out, they watch Royal Rumble. Like both of my kids watched it, all of my buddies watched it, and they're telling me to update them on what's going on. And so I don't expect a lot of people to watch Collision. So I was trying to watch it, and I couldn't because AEW or WBD or whomever it is cannot get their shit together, and thus I don't have it. So
I don't know. Anyone out there, let us know if there's anything on Collision we need to watch.
So I did hear that the main event was really fun, but I think it was like a kind of a hardcore kind of match.
I saw a clip of it. Might have been the Cope. No, it hadn't been the Cope. It's probably Moxley. Had some pliers in Dax's nose.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I want to watch that stuff. I don't know. I don't want to see that. I don't know. If there's anything to watch on Collision, please let us know. We'll check it out.
I
If you
did
want my
watch.
opinion on it. Let me know, and I'll give my opinion on it on the X.
I saw Bandito made his return.
Uh-oh. Is he all right? Did he make it out?
I mean, you saw the same clip that I did on Twitter.
I didn't see Bandito.
Didn't he like throw out Big Bill or something?
No, I didn't. He came back?
Yeah, I think I thought it was Bandito.
I saw Hologram has superpowers now.
Oh, he does.
Did you see that one?
I did.
They did like a vignette and him like walking the streets of Mexico, I guess, and he has like a little looks like the new like this new Spider-Man cartoon that's on Disney Plus right now, and he has
yeah. Did you you watch that?
I haven't watched it yet. No.
Oh,
I haven't watched it yet. And then he reaches in his pocket, holds his hand out. This is hologram, and electricity just comes out. Or some kind of ball of energy or some shit.
That's funny.
Yeah.
All right. So on Thursday night on f4wonline.com, the OG Fight Game podcast, we are going to talk about Dynamite and Raw. There's going to be a lot of post Royal Rumble fallout that we'll get to see on Raw. I'm sure we'll see some of the things that we were talking about in the big picture segment. I'm sure some of those things will come to fruition.
Yeah.
NXT is leading, or they're building towards their Vengeance Day show, which is in a couple weeks. So you have NXT, and then on Dynamite, here's what I want to ask you about Dynamite before we get out of here. So Will Ospreay is facing a mystery family member of the Don Callis family.
Oh God, who
Is
is
it
it?
going to be? If
Trent?
it's Lance Archer, they would have just said it was Lance Archer, right?
Yeah,
Like, I don't
yeah,
think
yeah.
it's going to be Lance. So is it going to be Trent, or is it going to be somebody brand new that we have no idea about?
Have they any rumors of who they've signed or
So Fernando
Mark?
says
Oh my gosh.
Mark Davis should I would think if they brought him back, he would be on the babyface side, but so they would get him to turn with Fletcher, and they
Yeah,
reunite.
they should feature him more. Be a guy that's always by Will's side or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
Is he
Ah,
is
Mark
he also
Davis?
gonna be
Oh
in, like,
shit.
his sweatpants like he came on the
Yeah,
last time?
he has like negative charisma, that poor guy, you know? And oh man.
Yeah, I don't know. This one I'm assuming it's gonna be Trent just because,
hmm
I think a lot of people are
He
thinking
was
that
in the
it's
fan
gonna be him.
before, right?
Yeah, but that dude's getting hurt a lot.
Yeah.
And I also think it would be a little deflating in a sense, though. I think for the hardcores of the hardcores, they'd probably be happy with it.
I saw they booked the Hounds of Hell, Buddy Matthews and Brody King versus
Fletcher and Takeshita.
Fletcher and Takeshita, and I'm like, why would you book that match? Because you don't want to beat Brody King and Buddy Matthews unless something happens. Omega and Osprey come out, shenanigans happen, and with all the chaos, they get a win, and hopefully Buddy main beats Takeshita, and you can kind of come back with that match. That'd be a fun match to watch. I hope that's what happens. Something like that happens because
Mm-hmm.
beating the Hounds of Hell in their first or second match together as this new change of gimmick in a way, like, be bad news. Especially they should be built up to face the Hurt Syndicate down the line in a big match for the tag team titles.
Ricochet and Swerve are finally having their match.
That should be very bloody and violent.
Do you think Swerve's getting hit with the scissors?
Or no, I think Ricochet's getting hit with scissors.
He's gonna get hit with his own scissors?
Yeah, I think Swerve's going to get him and turn the tables on him and win the match. Swerve can't be taking many L's anymore. He's been took a couple.
No,
L's.
I don't think he should lose. I'm just wondering if.
What's with the chain? They always mention the chain. Like, okay, are they going to do a chain match or a dog collar match, or what are you going to do? He just has the chain.
And then lastly, the last thing that I've seen is Queen Aminata, my favorite. She's going to lose to.
You love her like I love Lash Legend.
Well, I love Lash Legend too. I just like.
Hey, man.
I like the way.
Hey man.
I like the
all
way
right. Hey man.
Lash is yours. She has
we went
yours
to see No Mercy, and when she was, I don't know if she's in that Metaphor group anymore, right? God, where's Noam Dar? I missed that guy.
Yeah. I mean, she and Jakara are still together. Maybe they are still called that. I don't know.
She was in the corner of Noam Dar when he was challenging, I think, for the North America title in that pay-per-view, and this our good friend Heartbreaker Dave Rubio was with me, like, he's like, you just love that Lash Legend, huh? I was like, yeah, man, she's pretty amazing.
So Logan James is rubbing it in a little bit here. He probably doesn't know that I'm a Warriors fan, but he was saying he was shocked when Jey won the Rumble, but even more shocked when Luka Doncic got traded to the Lakers. Yes,
I have no clue who these people are, but I just saw your tweet, like someone Sham, someone hacked Sham. Like, well, who's
they
Sham?
hacked him.
What promotion he's involved in? I don't ever heard of Sham.
So yeah, that was wild. I'm really mad because I hate the Lakers. I just have to. I hate all LA teams. I hope Shohei Ohtani and Luka Doncic just get infested with gout.
Oh my gosh.
It's sports hate. It's not real hate, but still, yeah. And then yeah, so that's Dynamite, and then we'll cover that on F4W Online, the OG Fight Game podcast, and then we'll also talk about Raw and NXT, any fallout from Rumble, anything else that happens. Like, we didn't even talk about the Janelle Grant thing, but I want people to go to the YouTube page on our page, and check out the Power Bombshells for today. Sam and Mel talked a lot about the lawsuit. I talked about kind of before the amendment was filed with Dave on Friday, and I know Dave and Brian talked about it on Saturday. So we didn't have to cover it here, but I'll be talking about this thing for a while, I'm sure. But I wanted to put some focus on Sam and Mel on the Power Bombshells, because I know they talked a lot about it earlier today. So just go to the YouTube page. You can see their show. They live stream every Sunday at 10 a.m. Pacific on our YouTube channel. And then, yeah, so next time that John and I record this show, which is our free version of the Fight Game podcast, is probably going to be Elimination Chamber weekend. I think the Elimination Chamber is March 1st, so we'll go the next evening. Now, sometimes John, kind of gets a little passionate about stuff. Like last time we recorded, maybe I think it's actually our second show.
Yeah.
If something happens at Grand
Legend
Slam
Stadium.
Australia, where
that's
John's
right.
like, you know what, we got to talk about it, then maybe we will be back for that. But the plan right now is we'll come back Elimination Chamber, and then I think the week after that is Revolution. So we'll be back to back Sunday nights in the first and second week of March. But until then, we probably won't be doing this version of the Fight Game podcast, but we do the other version of the Fight Game podcast every week on F4W Online. All right. So thanks to all the folks in the chat. I saw that Fernando and Maria Graciela popped in. I mentioned Logan. Appreciate all of you. We even got Joe Hendry, the great Joe Hendry, showed up in the chat there. Said, say his name and he appears. He got the Raw deal in the Rumble. He should have at least.
Nah, he did. He got a great
more.
spot. He had a great spot. What are you talking about? He did great.
He didn't even throw anybody out.
He got on television with the belt.
TNA World Champion.
He got eliminated by who did he get eliminated? Roman Reigns. Come on, that's not a bad deal.
All right,
dude. Vengeance Day is the same day as the Australian show.
Yes, it's earlier though. It's like 5 o'clock. I think it goes head to head with the NBA All-Star game.
Shoot, we might have to go.
All-Star
live
Saturday. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Well, we'll see. My frustration with the Shawn Michaels booking team sometimes. It might be more. It might get a low grade for me just with the silliness of that show sometimes.
Yeah.
All right, for John, I am Double G. Thank you to all who were hanging out in the chat, all who are listening on the audio version. We will see you when we see you. Peace out.